Alright, so yesterday I finished adding the trees on the on our map. Honestly, and also rocks, and yeah, I was did to say that honestly I'm not extremely happy with the resource generation, especially. I mean, maybe it's just with the prefabs, but yeah, I think in the final version, for sure it will be different. Um, And yeah, I was also thinking maybe the terrain should have elevation, but not sure about that. Like maybe, like sure it should have flat areas to be able to easily build, because the game is more about building rather than the terrain elevation. But maybe mountains is what is gonna make sense, and plains are gonna be flat-ish or something. But yeah, we'll also have to fix the camera, because how it works, like I figured out why it was scuffed sometimes. It's mainly because panning also moves you on the vertical y-axis, like, you know. And I was basing all my like stuff on the fact that the camera is gonna have a y of 0 always, like its focus point, like this circle. um, and yeah, if you were panning up and down, it was changing that, so that's why it was scuffed. But for the moment it's fixed. But I think we'll have to do our own camera. And yeah, I don't know, like when you scroll, should it scroll to the center, or should it scroll to the cursor? And rotation is similar question, should it just rotate center or snap to cursor? That's gonna be interesting to answer. But yeah, so for the moment we have some tree patches, which I did. I showed you how I plan to do them with Poisson distribution for choosing the spot, and other noise layers for figuring out the shapes and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's a bit laggy, but I guess it's because of rendering too many objects. But when you are gonna play, it's gonna be something like this, so it's not gonna be that laggy, I think. So no, I guess I'm fine with the terrain generation being done on CPU, but we'll see if that can be improved. So yeah, like the plan for today is I'll show you a bit the code for this stuff, although we already did it yesterday, and then we'll try to add buildings. And the building logic will be pretty simple. It will have like a radius, and it will destroy over time the resources that are in that radius. So plan is pretty simple, right? Just a building, it just destroys over time resources, and that's how the building should work in the end anyway. But we are gonna have pathfinding and stuff, so yeah, that's why I want to keep terrain flat, because mainly because of pathfinding, like but could also be fun to have mountains, right? And maybe less water is what we also want. But that can be changed by stuff like, if height map is whatever value, then increase the plane size, like I don't know, maybe I guess for the was on disk, it's mainly what we had in yesterday's code. I think even the structure itself was the same. So we just have a grid. Yeah, I guess we already discussed that, right? We have a grid and we sample points in that grid. So we have random points in a grid, right? So basically the idea. And then in doing the, I guess let's go to the system that generates the chunk data. So here we generate the noise map, right? Then we have generate forest points, which is gonna give us a vector of points, and generate rock points, which is similar. I mean, it's the same thing but with different config, right? So to generate the forest, we have to do some kind of noise, and I went with whirly noise. It was fine. It's like in a way it's similar to Poisson distribution, but it's noise style in a way, if that makes sense. So it's also like built, I guess, on the base of a grid, but instead of having points we have the distance between points in a way, right? I use the distance, so it's like the influence of each point rather than the point itself. And yeah, what we have to do is combine this resource map with the terrain like noise map, and I just went with some simple rules. So we have some threshold, and like we spawn trees only on hills and mountains, so anything else is minus one, like ignored. Then if the influence is too small on this resource map, then we discard it again, and only afterwards we keep it. And then for the forest points, I just generated the grid of possible positions, of possible points where we can have trees, and I filtered them based on this resource map. So we generate all the points, we have a noise map where the trees can spawn, and we keep only the trees that can spawn, right? So yeah, pretty not that complicated. That's why we don't have any wow results, like it's could be better. And for generating the rocks, it's exactly the same thing, but I used the different config, so you know, maybe it's gonna be different. So let's keep it in two functions. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, that was pretty much everything for this. And I guess, you know, to give some credits to, like, I took the trees assets from here, like the trees and the snowy trees, right? They look pretty good. And then I took some of the art from this pack, but honestly I don't know, I don't really like how the rocks look like, but I couldn't find any cool rocks, so yes, for now I can go with this. But I mean, I don't like the colors. It's like too bluish for the trees, so I like this green more. So, but anyway, like probably in the end we'll have completely different art for the game. So for now it's fine. We just have random stuff. And we have some tents which we can use for our building. That could be interesting. So for the buildings, I guess I also want to, I try to refactor it into how you usually do it, like module, resources, system, components, but man, it's a bit annoying. I would rather just go back to having one file for each module, or I guess one file for each plugin, because it feels too small. I don't see the point of having this many files. It just makes it harder to navigate, because even if I search, it's like I have to say chunk compute, and then I have to say the file name. So but anyway, doesn't really matter. So here I think that instead of having chunk, like what I'm not sure is does this make sense, like having chunk data contains forest points, or should we just spawn the trees and the rocks in here and then doing the graphics for them? I mean, why not? I mean, for now let's just finish the thing, right? And I'll think about that later. But for example, here we spawn the trees, right? And here we spawn the rocks. So we just need a new, let's call it component, that is going to represent trees and rocks. I'll just do them combined for the first time, and we'll see how that goes. So let's add a new component. Actually, no, it makes sense to keep tree data and rock data on them, but that's how it's gonna go in the future. But for now, let's have derive component pub superstructure. I cannot call it a resource, like resource resource patch, but it's not like a patch, it's just a single resource piece. Alright, something like this. Chunk render systems. So now when we spawn, like I have to get used to coding in this let's call it ECS style and base more on components and stuff, and not have, because for example my chunk data is pretty ugly like this. These should be components, but anyway, let's also spawn the resource piece. Right. So now we have resource piece on both of them. Pretty good, let's say. And now we need the building itself. So right, might as well. Well, this should be in crate probably. Okay, so I already have some useful stuff in this map building, if I remember correctly. 02. So I think in this one was the building of things, right? So this was building this, and this was building the spawner. Let's see if it still works. Oh. Yeah. So what I need is the brush type. Well, brush type is gonna be of just I mean, it's only for debugging purposes, so it doesn't matter. So we'll have type 1 is gonna be discover, and the second one is gonna be place mine, resource mine, and then we're gonna have this resource build brush, and let's add our build brush into main. So that's like a resource. Right. And then how do we use it actually? So in handle click, I guess, in draw cursor, really smart function name, but who cares? We have our build brush, which again will be changed, but for now save to say okay. So we'll have kind of like this match. I didn't even need it because yeah. Let's delete everything, and now let's fill the arms, and if we do discover, we want to do this thing, so let's do discover. Okay, and if it's place mine, no, I guess we'll have something here that that does the mining. So it's gonna be like, yeah. What? Wait, why do I have two of... Okay, anyway. Jesus, what the fuck? Ah. Okay. Strange. And I need commands apparently, right? For spawning stuff. Okay, and I also need meshes probably. I also need a timer. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to chunk render systems, because I just want these things in the list. Right now we can place our building, it doesn't really matter. We need this timer. Because this is gonna be mine interval timer, right? Something like this. And let's say it's gonna mine every 0.5 seconds or something like that. And we also need like a resource miner. Resource miner. And let's imagine it's gonna have like a radius hard coded. So we need similar to ground. Where is the ground? Here. But we need to call it resource miner. Right, so now we have a resource miner. If we click with brush type B, but to change the brush type, pick building brush, we kind of need this. So let's add it. And this is discover, and this is place mine. Right, so where's the main? Here is the main, somewhere. Okay, so pick building brush. Okay, so now if we go ahead and run this thing, although yeah, it's what's gonna suck is that this thing just okay, it keeps placing them, because I think I forgot about the click. So if just pressed click, that's when we actually spawn stuff, like that kind of building. Okay, where was it? Okay, anyway, so now if we, let's say, I don't know, are gonna build it somewhere here, it should start chopping down trees and resources, and let's make like the range pretty big. But let's fn mine resources is gonna have some parameters. Let's make it simple for now and just destroy the resources. So it needs command. It also needs the query to resource miners, right? And fine, let's do it not that efficient at first. Like probably in the future we'll have yeah, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but here we have like all the resource. Well, I mean, you know, in the future we'll have pathfinding and stuff, so that's gonna work differently, but for now it's just hard coded. So we want the actually I think we want it mutable. So where is some kind of like laser shoot? Where is a laser shoot? Tower shoot. Okay. Let's take all of this and let's say mine resource. So you know, we can have gizmos for showing the range, the commands to be able to destroy stuff. Oh, we don't need this. Okay, we need a query resource pieces. Resource. I mean entity and resource piece. Well, actually, with resource piece, it's smarter like that. Okay. Then, as I said, we need a query. Oh, sure, we also need the transform. A good reminder from this. So, query resource miners. Where's the timer? Mine interval timer with resource miner and without a resource piece, right? Something like this. We don't need assets, we need time. And yeah, I think, wait, isn't it a resource piece? Yeah, it should be. It's inaccessible. How is that inaccessible? Okay, now it is. So we need to iterate, oh my god, all the miners. Then we need the miner transform minor timer. Okay, this is gonna be, let's do the const minor range is gonna be 32, like how big a chunk is. Or something, I don't know. And then we have this. We try to get closest. So Q resource species, resource transform. And this is the minor transform. The translation is more than minor range, right? Like if you remember from when I did it, honestly I don't know if I did it this or not. Should have done it on a video. Like at least I remember talking about this really smart feature of doing extending stuff. Okay, let's rename some of the variables because it's becoming so closest entity and closest transform, but I mean a resource, I guess. No, calling it resource makes sense. Resource transform. Though we don't need anything, we just need maybe a line would make sense to have, just to see which resource we choose. Oh, and I mean this should be minor transform. Okay, I think F64, yeah. Okay, F32. So mine resource should be here. Okay, let's see if everything works as expected. Like extremely simple logic. Holy shit, it actually does something. So like it destroys the trees. It's pretty cool. And if we put more than it's going faster. Yeah, obviously it's gonna go faster, but yeah, like the issue for now is that you can place it anywhere. And I guess if this goes out of bounds, we need to discover. So another idea would be to, this is also an issue. Like what if it tries to despawn the same thing? who knows, now it's like locusts, right? So because it should probably also call to discover once you place buildings. But yeah, pretty interesting. Now obviously the next step would be to have those villagers that go back and forth, but yeah, that's gonna be in the second iteration. For now I think if we keep it like this, it's fine, like just chunking resources like this. And somehow, you know, we'll have like a UI to display how much resources you have. So I think it's good for now. So next we need to add the UI and let's say the find state, which is every X seconds you have to pay the quota. And I think, yeah, that would be all for the demo, right? So we see, like, maybe, yeah, even though we overextend with the shader stuff, I think that by the end of the month it's still possible to finish that. So, and then start working on the second iteration, which is just if I remember correctly, adding the villagers like units. Obviously we need like a cool build menu, not clicking 1 2 3. That's, but I mean, you know, for the demo, fine, we'll keep it like this. But in the second iteration we have to add some UI. So yeah, and also units. I think also the enemies. Yeah, I guess we will see. But I think for today this should be interesting enough as the concept. Let's see if I find anything else that's gonna be interesting. But I guess until then, we'll see in the next one. So yeah.